Hello, everyone. Jonathan Dean here,
And Elvin Handy
and I'd like to welcome you to Off
off
the
the Axis
Axis
podcast.
podcast. We're going to keep this episode short today. We don't have a whole lot to cover. Not a lot going on in the news this week. I guess it's beefed up a little the last couple days, but
Yeah,
we've had a pretty dead last week or two.
yeah, we have. Yeah, pretty dead week or two for news, definitely.
I'm also sitting here on a NyQuil hangover, so if I'm not beaming today, understand why and have some patience, please.
Yeah,
Have some
we
patience, please.
we definitely understand.
All right. Well, let's get started with a few little short things just to look at, a few little short videos or articles for us to check out.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to look at is, we have this issue of everyone believes that the right or the left is importing voters. It's conspiracy theory, this whole voter replacement idea that we have. Everyone wants to say it's a conspiracy theory. We frequently see things across the country or across the world, and we are usually tailing behind them a little bit.
True.
So I just wanted everybody to get a chance to take a look at this. Spain just legalized 500,000 illegal aliens to defeat the right. So this is what we've been suspecting for a long time. Spain isn't even trying to hide it anymore.
Wow, that's crazy.
They have legalized 500,000 illegals simply for the reasoning of defeating the right at the election booth. So this electoral engineering that we are witnessing in our country, that everyone wants to say is fake or phony or a conspiracy theory, it's happening. It's
Yeah, it
happening
is happening.
across the world. It's happening here. Clearly, this is what we're pushing toward.
Yeah,
Clearly.
and it's sad because that's only gonna hurt the people of Spain, the citizens of Spain, because a lot of these people are not gonna assimilate to their culture, and this is gonna completely wipe out and destroy their entire culture.
Well, I think that's the whole point. They have a culture. We all have a culture that is, at least the Western culture, is based on right ideals
Yeah, for the most part.
for the most part. So, there's some things that you could say are leftist ideals mixed in there, but predominantly it's focused on right ideals, family values, civic participation,
Yeah.
free elections. They're getting rid of it. So
Yeah, they're getting rid of all that, all their cultural history.
it's
It's gonna
time
be
to
wiped out.
It's time to keep your eyes open, guys. This is why they brought in the illegals into the United States. They're only legalizing 500,000 there, which is going to change their elections
Yeah,
forever.
significantly.
But we have 20 million here. So you want to be disenfranchised? Let more come and let them stay and make them legal. If you want to continue to have your vote mean something, we've got to get these people out of here. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. We can't end up like that. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
All right, second little thing we're going to look at today. U.S. bill allowing government to remotely shut down your vehicle has passed. I saw that Thomas Massey was leading the push to prevent this.
Oh, this is true?
This is true. Thomas Massey led the push to kind of stop it, and he was unable to prevent it. Republicans overwhelmingly voted for this. And it's a state.
Wow.
It's the state of the Republican Party. We don't have a two-party system. We have a uniparty system.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of Republicans with a backbone. They just fall over to everything. This is crazy.
So
is this even with older vehicles or just newer vehicles?
only newer vehicles. I believe it'll be post 9/11 vehicles. They started installing different ECUs and things into post 9/11 vehicles, which actually allowed a backdoor for this to happen. So now they are letting you know this is what we're going to be doing. So this may come,
Dang.
they talk about, you're going to have your credit score, social credit score.
This sounds like something like a social credit score.
It feels like this is another piece of the puzzle that they're going to implement. So I don't even know what to say about it really, other than we're stuck. Our representatives don't vote to protect us.
No, not at all. This is scary. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, they don't like something. I mean, even if you think about like if they don't like your politics or something, like you post on social media or something of that nature, they could just shut you down, shut your car off, and
well, we can look at Virginia as what's going to happen if we get a fully Democrat representative base nationally. moving forward. Virginia is absolutely changing so fast. Their laws are changing so fast. They're adding so many taxes in so quick.
Wow.
That this is what we're going to see if we are not able to. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of black pilled on this. I don't know that there's anything we can do.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much heading in a direction like China is in. China is in right now, just as pretty much a surveillance state where everything is surveillanced and controlled, and yeah, because they definitely have social credit score in China.
If they're going to be able to shut your car down, they're definitely going to be able to shut your bank account down. They're definitely going to be able to shut your credit cards down.
Well, remember they can kind of already do that now.
Well, they did it to Fuentes. They shut him out of the banking system.
Andrew Tate too. They shut him out of banking. They shut him out of Uber. They shut him out of.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
completely take away
Airbnb and everything. They took him out for every app.
I don't know. As I said, I'm starting to get more and more black pilled by the day. Like the control that we're seeing, and this isn't something if we put this to a vote to the American people, well, what do you think? 3% would vote for this? 5% maybe?
Yeah, a lot of people are not even aware that this is going on.
Nope.
So a lot of people wouldn't even be present to even vote for this. That is true. It wouldn't be many people to show up. We gotta, I don't know, citizens got to become more aware of the things that's going on around them. But again, I mean, they push a lot of mind-numbing junk on social media, so a lot of people are distracted by so many different things. They keep people distracted that don't even have time to even focus on what they really need to focus on,
Well, this is where we get into civic responsibility. And voting is civic responsibility, but not just voting. You don't just go vote to be a responsibly civic person. Like you have to research your vote. You have to look into what these people's policy are, what they voted previously, what they believe in, even down to what their religion is, because that will tell you what their principles are based in.
Yeah.
And civic responsibility isn't just showing up on voting day. Civic responsibility is doing your due diligence, committing to the research. Yes, it takes time. But if you don't want your country to fall apart, you have to spend a little bit of time working on it.
Yeah, you do.
You don't drive a car around for 100,000 miles without doing maintenance.
Yeah, you don't.
So this is just a big case in hand of how important civic responsibility really is and how important it is for each and every one of you to make sure you're researching all of the people who you're voting for, the alternatives. We've really lost touch with that, and people think that civic responsibility is scrolling on Facebook and replying to political posts.
Yeah, they do. And we also have to learn, too, to not just focus on federal elections. Local elections are important with shaping your community. That's probably the most important when it comes to shaping your actual direct community. We have state elections are important.
We have a big election coming up in 16 weeks here in Tallahassee. We will have new leadership in Tallahassee. I think there's four board member positions coming open. We'll have a new mayor, and it's not looking good with who's going to become our new mayor.
Oh, boy.
It's likely going to be Jeremy Matlow.
Oh, dear.
And you can just take a look at his Facebook page to figure out how I feel about him. I'd be dragging him through the mud. The boy gets drugged daily.
Wow.
It's just, and he could save himself. He is left, but he's not an extremist, I wouldn't say. So he has a chance to cross party lines. He's just not willing to do it.
I see. I see.
He could bring more of us in by focusing on specific things, and he's just not willing to do it. I even watched he went to the campus, FSU campus, a few days ago and said, was asking the students, what are your 3 most important topics or things going on in politics that you are concerned about? 3 most important things going on in the nation or even local politics. And the demographics that he asked this question to was very telling on who he represents. I think there were roughly 25 people that he interviewed. 2 of them were white, and I'd say 50% of them were not from this country or were first generation. So he's not even pretending to serve everyone.
Okay.
He's going after a specific group of people, and those are who he's going to represent. He's not going to represent people like me.
Yeah, and the sad thing about it is when it comes to the turnout in the city, it's probably going to be about 10% of the city even turn out to even vote in that election.
Maybe
lower than that.
Yeah, it's we don't have a huge participation, but also no one knows anything about these people. We just had our first Republican candidate enter the race, and I was looking at WCTV, which is our local news station, and they did an article about the new candidate. It was 2 paragraphs, and they didn't say one thing about his policy.
Oh, wow.
Not one thing. So he's not getting fair representation in the media. There's no way he'll win.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Dang, that's so crazy.
But that's all the shorts we have for you today. Like I said,
those are interesting.
it's going to be a short day for us.
But yeah, that's interesting about that car. Shutting out that car. That's crazy.
Yeah, I might have to sell the Jenny. Might have to sell the Jenny and get me an old 1965.
We all might have to get old cars. old classic.
All right, what you got today, Alvin?
All right, so today, my topic for today, I'm doing ILHAN OMAR. I know I did quite a few segments on ILHAN OMAR, but there has been newly discovered evidence from a House Oversight Committee when it comes to ILHAN OMAR's net worth, and it pertains to her family's net worth, and it pertains to her family net worth going up estimated 3,500% in just 1 year.
Wait, you said 3,500%?
Yes, 3,500% in 1 year. Yes, our family net worth.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Now, apparently, this jump in net worth is attributed to 2 companies that her husband owns, and one of the companies went from being valued at around $1,000 to being valued at $25 million in 1 year, and that's a capitals company. And then another company the second company is a winery in California, which went from being valued around $50,000 to being valued at $50 million.
Are they even selling wine?
Exactly.
Are they even selling wine? What are they selling?
Now, it's very strange because you look at the 2 incomes on the companies, they both show very little income.
No, revenue is low.
Yeah, so I have some documents for you guys that we can take a deeper look at to what she admitted on her financial disclosures. So her 2023 annual report financial disclosure, if we go down here, we'll see that this right here is the winery in Santa Rosa, California. Now you can see in 2023, 15,000 to 50,000 when it comes to valuation. Now income over here is between $200 and $1,000 that she reported on that company.
That's already lopsided to begin with. because
you'll see the value of asset and income.
Because if I sell my construction company today, and we have we'll just give an example. We say we have a revenue of $1 million.
Okay.
The actual value of my company would not be $1 million because we're not making $1 million profit.
Right.
The valuation would be significantly lower. So the fact that their valuation is multiple times higher than even the revenue is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's pure insanity. Now, I'm going to go further down here because I'm going to go to the capital company. So you have Rose Lake Capital LLC, Washington, D.C., U.S., and you see here, value of asset, $1 to $1,000, income $15,000 to $50,000.
Now that makes more sense.
Now that one makes more sense. But it's still weird when I show you guys the jump in the 2024 annual report. Because if we go to the 2024 annual report and we go to Rose Lake Capital LLC in Washington, D.C., we have a report of no income and a value asset of $5 million to $25 million.
What? How did your income go? How did your income go down when it's only 1,000?
Right.
Like, when your revenue is only 1,000, how does it get any lower?
Right, exactly.
You didn't do anything.
It's strange.
That means you did absolutely nothing, and your revenue, your asset value increased to $25 million.
Very strange. Very strange.
What kind of company is this? It's a capital management company?
Yes, so it's a venture capital management company. That one, and then
my problem is how is a venture capital management company even operable if it's not making money?
Yeah, that's true.
How is it even operable?
Yeah, how it's operable? It's strange, very strange. And then as you can see, the winery in Santa Rosa jumped all the way to $1 million to $5 million in value of asset,
and they still have that lopsided income to asset.
It's still the lopsided $5,000 to $15,000 in income. Now, I have a video for you guys that break this down even further from Fox. So let's get into this video.
Fox News alert, ILHAN Omar under investigation after racking up millions while she was in Congress. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has it. What's up, Kevin?
Good to see you, my friend. What's the old saying? Follow the money? Well, that's precisely what the House Oversight Committee is doing. They are probing squad member ILHAN Omar's skyrocketing family wealth, Jesse, especially in the wake of that $9 billion, some would argue $19 billion, Somali social services fraud scandal that exploded in her district in Minnesota. The Oversight Chair, James Comer, says his team's lawyers are exploring the extraordinary step of subpoenaing Omar's spouse over his curious business practices. Republicans want to know how the Somali-born Omar and her politically connected husband Tim Minette went from being nearly broke to being worth around $30 million in just a year, according to her 2024 disclosure form. Quoting Comer now, there are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years. It's not possible. It's not. And he's a money guy. Minette and his partner, Will Haler, back in 2022, formed an investment firm, Jesse, named Rose Lake Capital. They had $42 in their bank account at the time, but in a year, up to $25 million, according to Omar's filing. By the way, he also has a wine business that went from next to nothing to millions on its books. Not surprisingly, associates were so perplexed about the irregularities, they brought information and attention to the feds to, look into it. Now, for her part, the Congresswoman has repeatedly, and I say defiantly, denied any wrongdoing while being also careful to criticize the ongoing probe. But, sometimes they say, Jesse, the ones who yell the loudest have the most to hide.
Well, innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure everything was perfectly legal. We're just checking to find.
I'm sure everything.
So yeah, that's the first video I have for you guys that kind of a little bit more deep dive into the situation. But what do you think about that?
I just know it's frauds. My real question is, these valuations, are they coming from investors, private investors putting money into their companies with the belief of the company going to do well later? Because that could be the possibility. But these investors have no reason to believe that the companies are going to do better. There's no history of the company excelling. There's no history of year after year increase in revenue or profit. It's actually a decrease in profit and decrease in revenue. So as an investor myself, am I going to invest millions of dollars into a company that is showing decreases in revenue and profits? No, never.
No, you never would.
So it makes me wonder who these investors are, where they are located, and where did they get their money from? Yeah,
exactly. Because it's definitely something might be shady going on with the investors as well.
Sounds like she's getting some kickbacks from all this illegal money that's going on in Minnesota is what it would sound like to me.
I think she is. I really think she is getting some kickbacks from that.
I think what we're going to find out is that those companies are partially Somali owned now.
You say partially Somali owned?
Yeah, and not just her part. Also the investors.
And if you bring up to investors, I do have a document on the investors actually for the winery business.
Oh yeah.
So allegations of fraud. So like the Fox video stated, he has a business partner named Minette. So the thing is with this, the allegation of fraud, it says Minette and his business partner Will Haler have been accused in lawsuits of defrauding an investor in connection with this California wine business. The lawsuits allege that investors were promised high returns that were never fulfilled, although Minette has characterized the matter as a contract dispute. So you can see, even with the winery, the investors are not happy with the return.
Well, that's because he's probably the only real investor who was hoping to get money back and not some sort of kickback or political play. So he's the only doofus that fell for the scheme. Right. Involved in the scheme.
Right, exactly.
So he's suing him.
So that's very strange. So you're a point on investors, yet investors are not happy.
No.
They think they're getting defrauded in this situation. Now, ILHAN Omar, she has a response to the whole entire situation. She actually made a video on it. I'm going to read you guys what she said. All right. So This is a quote from ILHAN Omar. She says, the value range listed for the assets reflect the full cost assessment of the business in which my husband is one of several partners and does not reflect his individual share. Omar wrote in the caption accompanying her TikTok video, adding in the video, learn to read before you post misleading stuff.
Well, if she said it on TikTok, it must be true.
Now, the only weird thing about that is if you look at the House Ethics Committee's financial disclosure guidance for members when they report their income, it states that members are instructed to report their or their spouse's ownership interest in a privately held business actively engaged in trade or business rather than the value of the business itself. So she's saying that what she put reflects the full cost of the business, but the instructions state that you should report the ownership of your spouse's interest in the business.
And she has a team of lawyers representing her and handling all this paperwork, all this disclosure. She has a lawyer specifically for disclosure guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
That lawyer knew what he was doing.
So why is she posting the full, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, we could say, oh, maybe she's trying to make herself look richer than she is. Maybe she's trying to she's the Somali queen. She's really had a big come up. Maybe she's doing that. But her lawyer would never allow that.
Yeah, her lawyer wouldn't allow that.
No.
Unless she filled it out by herself, but I highly doubt she filled it out by herself.
Anything by herself.
Now, this article further states, coupled with an estimate of her government pension, Omar's latest financial disclosure shows assets and liabilities that place her net worth between roughly $40,000 and $115,000, excluding the valuation she reported for her husband's business. Those business valuations, $5 million to $25 million for Rose Lake Capital and $1 million to $5 million for a winery, reflect the company's total reported value. Now, her husband's ownership stake, according to Omar,
which goes against the reporting guidelines.
Right. And Manette's stake in Rose Lake Capital is less than 1/3 of the company. The New York Post reported, citing a company spokesperson. So this still come from the company.
Okay, so let's just say he does own 1/3 of it.
Right.
It still went from a couple $1,000s to tens of millions.
Which is very suspicious for the wine industry because I recently researched that the wine industry really is not doing that well right now. It hasn't done that well right now for a couple of years when it comes to increasing in value. So a lot of wine businesses on increasing value like that.
I mean, I know just from being a wine drinker that there's many companies who no longer even use cork anymore because it hurts their overall profit margin.
Yeah, it's nothing that's definitely not a business you get into where you're going to see a mass increase in a year when it comes to valuation.
No.
Now, it also says Omar, Manette, and a spokesman for the capital declined to explain the valuation. So they're declining to even explain what's going on. And what public information there is doesn't provide many answers. The income Omar disclosed from those businesses does little to support such high valuations. Rose Lake Capital reported no income in 2024 after reporting $15,000 to $50,000 a prior year, while the winery reported income of up to $50,000 in 2024.
So $100,000 of total reported income or revenue, and the companies are somehow worth tens of millions of dollars.
Right. Very strange. Very strange. And it gets even weird because Benny Johnson, he did a little research on it, and he was trying to put together a compilation of research on the winery. And somehow the next day, everything on the internet pertaining to the winery, including the winery's website, was pulled off the internet.
Well, another thing that could be going on is maybe they hyperinflated the valuations on their net worth so they could get larger loans, so they get larger loans for houses or for loans for investments or whatever the case. But in that case, it's tax fraud.
Yeah, that's tax fraud.
So like, no matter how you look at it, this is not legit.
Right, exactly.
It's impossible for this to be legit.
It is impossible. So this is a video I have of Benny Johnson trying to investigate this, and everything gets pulled off the internet all of a sudden. This is funny.
Another major asset she listed in her financial disclosure is this winery. What does a Somali know about wineryism? Okay, that was in 2023. That was worth, according to ILHAN Omar's own financial disclosure form, between $15,000 and $50,000. But on her financial affidavit from a year later, that same winery was listed at a value of between $1 and $5 million. Just real quick. Why does a Muslim own an alcohol company? I thought that wasn't a thing in Islam. Anyway,
even
it gets
consider that.
weirder. Up until yesterday, Benny Johnson was able to find their supposed inventory bottles and all the things they had, their office location, and a bunch of other information on the business. But as of today, those sites are totally shut down, and any mention of their website has been wiped off the internet. I'm talking gone. The Wayback Machine, all these other crafty little archive sites, everything is gone. Like,
Wow.
deleted the root service. I called my computer buddy Jim. He couldn't even find it with some fancy AR jargon bot machine for recovery. I don't even know, he was explaining it to me. He couldn't even find it, which is weird that a company that boasted an award-winning wine, the quote double gold winner in 2022 San Fran Chronicle competition, with a corporate value of up to $5 million, would just vanish into thin air. They didn't
How are you going to sell
it?
your wine without a website?
Is it possible for this to be a functioning business and have absolutely no footprint, wiped from the internet, go from 1,000 net worth to 5 million in less than a year?
Well, no other winery on earth's done that, Carl. Anybody who knows anything about this knows that the wine industry is under enormous pressure. Wineries, there's people pulling up vineyards and closing wineries, including some very well-known ones. People are drinking less wine. The economy is weighed on that in favor of cheaper alcohol options. So the wine industry has been in mad contraction for quite some time now. But more to the point, you have to have a federal license to have an alcohol facility. Where is her winery on the TTB website? That's the federal regulatory body that does this. So no, this doesn't
she's not
exist.
even allowed to
And
be making alcohol?
It's a phantasm that the idea you can have a winery increase in value. Everybody else in the wine business knows better.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Oh.
doesn't. She's not even really allowed to even be doing it because she's not on the website.
Why isn't the ATF kicking the doors in?
Exactly. Very suspicious.
The ATF should already be there.
Yeah, they
You're
should.
making alcohol and you don't have a license to do it.
We couldn't do it.
No.
They'd be kicked out.
No. People where I'm from make moonshine, and they see that fire up on the mountain, and the police cars start coming. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
the ATF is all up that ass.
Yeah, I don't know how she. Well, I know how she gets away with it, the position she has, but yeah, they should be kicking the door down.
That is.
Now, the final thing I have on this topic is it's very suspicious too, because her husband used to own a consulting firm. Now, the consulting firm he owned it during the period where she was running for the campaign that she was running on. And so it states here, it's called East Street Group consulting firm. It says Omar's husband, Tim Minette, and entrepreneur Will Hare, so that's the same business partner, received more than $3.7 million in campaign spending over the course of the 2023 election cycle.
$3.7 million in consulting fees.
Yeah. So what happened was Omar's campaign contributed $3.7 million to her own husband's.
Oh, this is
Consulting.
Washington campaign funds.
Right. It's Washington campaign funds, consulting firm. And so pretty much what she was doing is she was taking the money and just looping it back around to her so she can spend at her leisure. Because, campaign money is just a lot of donation money, But you only can spend campaign money on certain things that are
Consulting.
related to the campaign.
Spend it on consulting.
Right. Exactly. But funny thing is, this ended up where people were kind of catching on to this, and she severed ties with the consulting firm, so she no longer works with the consulting firm.
Oh,
But
she severed ties with her husband's consulting.
right. After wiring $3.7 million to herself.
This is insane.
But yeah, that's what I want to show you guys. That's a very interesting topic on the fraud that's going on with ILHAN Omar's camp. It's very interesting.
That's wild. That's wild, man. We know, everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows what's happening. Anybody who receives this information and listens to it can piece it together. This isn't some in-depth 3D puzzle. This is your basic 5-year-old 10-piece puzzle.
Yeah, this is something.
The square block fits in the square hole. It's really simple.
I know. That's why she should be in handcuffs by now. I mean, it's just crazy. It's so easy to piece it together.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer her in handcuffs, or would you just prefer we send her back broke to Somalia? Seize all her assets and send her back to Somalia, or seize her assets and put her in prison?
I would like to see her in prison and then send back to Somalia.
Yeah. I'm kind of...
Yeah, it's funny you brought it up because I was reading something today, and actually no, that was last night, and it was a court case with one of the Somali fraudsters, and he went in front of the judge, and he was begging the judge to send him back to Somalia, And the judge was like, no, you're going to do prison here, and then we're going to send you back.
Oh, because he's already sent so much money back that he'd be living like a king when he gets there.
Exactly. He said, no, you're going to do prison here.
So
and
she's
then
probably done the same thing. She's buffered herself. She has a fallback plan.
Yeah, so that's why I say punish her here first, and then send her back years later.
I wonder if she would make it out of prison here.
I don't know. Well, they would put her in federal prison,
And she'd have protective
which is
custody.
nothing like state prison. So
She'd have specific protective custody, too.
yeah, she probably would. She probably would. But I still would like to see her go after all she done.
Yeah, I was of the position that I'd rather just see her go back to Somalia, but I hadn't considered that she's probably already built herself some kind of landing pad there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely, because they were wiring a lot of that money to Somalia. So
Wiring into Somalia, you saw all the reports about them flying millions of dollars in duffel bags back.
oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
she's probably insulated,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
heavily insulated.
Definitely.
Well, let's see
Right.
here.
So what you got for her?
Next topic of the day, guys. Kind of wanted to talk. So, me and a friend of mine, he is a conservative as well, right-leaning conservative.
Okay.
Typically votes Republican. He and I have had some disagreements of late, pertaining primarily to the Israel involvement in our nation.
Okay.
Their funds being involved. It doesn't worry him so much. He believes Israel is our best ally. He believes that we should be helping them. I am on the opposite end. I don't believe they are an ally of ours. I don't believe that we should be giving them any money. Should we sell them goods? Should we sell them weapons? Sure. They can buy stuff from us at the same price as everyone else.
Yeah.
But I just don't agree with that. So he and I have had these discussions multiple times, and we can always have them freely. In an intelligent way, articulate our points of view and move on as friends and move on supporting each other in our podcast. He has a podcast as well. We support each other in that. We support each other's families.
Okay.
And it got me thinking about the strengths versus weaknesses of the conservative movement versus the liberal movement. So we know that in the liberal movement, if you have one view that steps outside of their set beliefs, you get ostracized, you get cast out of the movement, you might even get assaulted.
That's true.
Whereas in the Republican Party, I believe it to be one of our strengths. To where we can have these disagreements amongst each other. We're the big tent philosophy. We have all these different ideas, and we bring these people into our big tent, which creates a broader coalition for us to build off of. It enables us to absorb smaller units. We agree on most, but not everything, but we can absorb those smaller units into our big tent philosophy.
Right.
Because we agree on so much, and,
Right.
and our end game is still the same. So I just came to thinking about that. That is the ultimate strength of the right. We can have these disagreements. You and I don't agree on everything. We're still great friends. Me and Daniel don't agree on everything. We're still great friends. And these are issues that are very serious issues that we don't agree on sometimes. Yet we still attend each other's events. We still go to these counter protests together. We still help each other out with our podcast. We still help, teach each other new information and bring things to light for one another. And I just think that is our real strong point. And we really need to start rallying behind that more. I see this fracturing occurring. That we're currently in the conservative party. If you do not support Israel, or if you do support Israel, you got to get out because you're a Zionist, or you got to get out because you're a liberal hiding as a Republican or conservative. And I just don't think that any of those are healthy ways for us to move as a movement.
Yeah, it's
And I
not.
think it's beginning to cause us a lot of damage. You see a lot of this in people like Laura Loomer, for instance. She, if you're not a Zionist and don't support that, she really, really goes after you and says nasty things about you, tries to do exposés about you, tries to bring all these things to light about you or your family. And I just think it's really an ugly, ugly tactic. You see the same thing from Fuentes, but from the opposite.
But from the opposite end.
And I just think it's time that we really get rid of this. Like we can stand on our own 2 feet without losing the unit. We don't have to agree with everything, but we can come together under this big.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: if we don't come together, we're going to lose the country.
And that's simply the way it's going to be.
Because that's one thing Democrats do well. They will come together on stuff just to take over stuff.
Yes, they will. But, they don't let anyone have outside beliefs. I'm not sure how they curate that. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's through the media constantly creating the narrative for them.
Right.
And they all get on the same page together.
They do. They all get on the same page.
Even if the page is just wildly out of line with reality.
Yeah, it can be wildly out of line reality, morality, and they still get on the same page because they got that one goal in mind to take over the country.
But they also know if you don't step in line, you're out of the movement.
Yeah.
And I think for them, a lot of them, this is a club. This is the only thing that they're involved in. This is the only thing they feel included in.
Well, I think for them, this is their God. This is their religion.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So if you step out of line with your religion, you're
Right.
Yeah. I see. What
Conservatives, we actually have an outside religion, something outside of politics. We have a life outside of politics for I feel like for a lot of liberals and Democrats, people that lean more left, politics, that is their identity,
Yeah, and a lot of these
their
are
religion.
middle-aged women, middle-aged white women who don't have husbands, don't have kids,
Right.
aren't going to have kids or husbands ever. So ultimately, they have to have some kind of inclusion, and that's why they're able to just line up no matter what they're told.
Mm-hmm.
So I really see that as our strength. But when it comes to our weakness, I think the big weakness that we're experiencing on the right is our lack of activism. We really have no call to action.
We don't.
We don't do we've started to do some boycotts and things of late in the last maybe 24 months that have had some significant impact on individual companies, but it hasn't affected the overall narrative in the country.
Yeah.
Or the overall direction. So I think that's what we could really stand to work on. We're reactive, not proactive. So, like cancel culture and things like this, those are, for the left, those are proactive.
Yeah,
They know they're going to cancel you. We do it reactively. And basically the result of this is that the left dominates culture.
Yeah, they do dominate.
They dominate Hollywood. They dominate the news. They dominate all these different things, and it really is why we as the right are getting outflanked.
Yeah, we are.
And we can attribute this to a lot of things. I guess the most frequent thing you hear is, "Oh, we're too busy. We're at work."
Yeah.
And which does have substance.
Yeah, it does.
But this ties back into our earlier conversation about civic responsibility.
Yeah, you still have to have civic responsibility.
You can work. I mean, you can work your ass off and still take pride and activeness in your political spectrum or whatever's going on. You can still be active.
Yeah.
You're not working 24 hours a day, guys.
No.
You really have to get involved. And we just have to push our activism a little more, whether that be us holding freedom rallies, whether that be us holding really encouraging people to be active in primaries, all these things, and it's all building blocks. If you get people more active in primaries, they're more committed to whoever we end up with. They're more understanding of the policy that they believe in, the policy we're fighting against. And I think this is really where we're getting our ass kicked, man.
Yeah, we are. We don't have enough involvement, really.
I guess. What would you think is if you had to take one action personally this month to boost your involvement and making this no longer the case, our weakness? What would your action be personally?
Well, what I would personally do?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing the podcast already. We do things, but if you were the average person, what would be your one action to kind of help with our activism and to push it more?
I would say do more for the average person. I would say maybe do more community organizing and really be more involved in your community and the local elections that's going on in your community. I would say start with that first.
Start locally.
Because that's the basis for all the politics is local.
Right. And I guess you can make a more serious impact in local politics. If you go donate $50 to your mayor race, that $50 puts a person on the street for a few hours to push that candidate you're interested in. Whereas if you put $50 into a presidential race, you're having little to no effect against the machine.
Right. And it also helps if you want stronger immigration policies within your neighborhood, because as you know, locals, they work with the federal agents in order to do the immigration procedures. And we all know that the sheriff is an elected position.
Yeah.
So you really want to be in on that and who's your sheriff of your town is, and
Yeah, that's actually
all
really
that helps when it comes to local.
Sheriff races are massive, actually. I never considered that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. So I guess that's a great way. I guess it's something for you guys to think about as well. What can you actively do? You know, it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It doesn't have to be putting a podcast together. It doesn't have to be out standing on the courthouse steps for 6 hours on a Tuesday when you should
Yeah,
be
you
at
don't
work.
do all that.
But what can you actively do to participate in your civic responsibility to make our movement stronger, to fill this activism gap that we don't have? If we can't fill this, we're going to continue to lose these very, very, very influential elections.
Yeah, and it's power in numbers, you know,
Yeah.
because I mean, Trump's a good president, but he can't do it all by himself. You know, it's power in numbers. We have to defeat them by banding together and going against them instead of trying to just put everything off on one person to save us. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like you said, it starts small. It starts local. That's where the biggest difference can be made with the least amount of action.
Right.
And you know, you'll end up with federal laws that kind of influence your local elections and things, but that foundation is so important because that's where the small change starts happening.
Definitely a small change. I mean, look at these sanctuary cities where federal agents are trying to come in, and the cities and the state is blocking them from trying to really get the procedure done and get people out of the city. I mean, that's a local problem. People voted for those local politicians. Their local politicians are blocking the federal agents and impeding them from doing their job correctly.
Whether illegal or whether they're doing it illegal or legally,
yeah,
it's still occurring.
Right, still occurring.
So we have to really get active, guys.
Got to get active.
And you know, if you need any advice on us on how to do that, I'm kind of lost. I myself don't know. I've done the door knocking for elections. I've done the donations. I've done the protest. I've done all these things, and I guess it's not a one size fits all kind of fit for each person. Each of us can do something different.
Yeah, everybody got a different role.
So, you know, even if it's just sitting down at dinner and speaking to your family who's of voting age about, you know, informing them of the actual policy of the different people running in your local elections, whatever the case.
You're right.
Just get active, even if it's on a micro level. Just get active, guys. We have to somehow combat this massive force that they've been able to develop.
Yeah, we do.
Let's see. Next up on the list, I guess let's dive into some of this. We had this big shooting, big controversial shooting that has occurred. I'm sure everyone's seen the video. Everyone knows what happened. You know, I don't remember his full name. Preddy.
I think it's Alex.
Alex Preddy, yes. He was shot and killed by, they're saying it was ICE, but I actually believe it was DHS and Border Patrol, I actually believe is who.
Yeah, I think it was Border Patrol. I don't think it was ICE.
No, I don't think it was actually ICE, but working together, I guess it's all in the same project. He was shot and killed. And I guess the big question is, you know, I guess one of the big questions that I've been reading is, everyone says, what happened was illegal. It was a murder. And I guess what I want to dive into.
I don't believe it was illegal.
No, it wasn't illegal. Now, was it? We can debate all day whether it was the right thing.
Well, by law, it's not illegal. Not at all.
By law, it was not illegal, I don't believe.
Because once what people don't understand is when it comes to law enforcement, once you put your hands on them, you have forfeited all your rights. And that's what he did. He put his hands on that Border Patrol agent. And so once that happens, your rights are out the door.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that he deserved to die.
He didn't deserve to die, but he definitely is the cause of that situation escalating to what it escalated to.
I mean, he was asking to die.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve to die, but he was 100% asking for some sort of escalation of violence. Mm-hmm. And he didn't win.
Right, exactly.
He didn't win. He won the Darwin Awards, and that was it.
Yeah, because they were trying to restrain him. You know, he goes on the ground, and even though that officer disarmed him, the other officers didn't know that officer had disarmed him.
Right.
You know, and the type of gun he had, it's
SIG P320.
It's known for discharging a lot of accidents.
There was one sitting on I think it was a major or sergeant major's desk. And no one touched it, and it went off.
Yeah. So, and that's what happened in this case, because I think they confirmed not too long ago that when the agent was disarming and carrying it off, it accidentally went off.
Right.
And so you got agents yelling gun, and then they hear a gun go off, and then the guy reaching like this. So that's why they shot him, because they thought their life was in danger.
Right.
So,
and like you said, that gun's known to do that.
yeah.
And, you know, you put yourself in these positions and you make these bad decisions, and eventually it's going to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying the man deserved to be killed.
No, he didn't deserve to be killed, but he definitely put himself in a very bad situation.
So I want to go over some Supreme Court rulings in the past that are basically going to make this a non-punishable offense for the officers who pulled the trigger.
Oh, definitely.
People don't understand it. They don't know the constitutional precedents that have been set previously. So I just wanted to go over a few of those and then follow that up with why he was even detained to begin with. Because I know that's the second argument. Why were they detaining him to begin with? So let's first go over the actual shooting itself and some constitutional precedent that has been set. Tennessee versus Garner, 471 U.S. 1, 1985. The Supreme Court held that the Fourth Amendment prohibits the use of deadly force to seize a fleeing suspect unless the officer has probable cause to believe the suspect poses a significant threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or others. So, why would an officer believe that he posed a significant threat of death or serious physical injury? Well, they knew he had a gun. They may not have known that he'd been disarmed, as you said.
Yeah, they didn't know he was disarmed.
Also, he is known to have been violent against officers at previous rallies or riots. He's been known to be an active participant in riots previously. So that's probable cause.
And also him putting a hand on the officer escalates that to the officer feeling like he is a threat.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. I guess another is an application to imminent danger. If officers reasonably believe a suspect is armed and poses an imminent threat based on seeing or being alerted to a firearm, deadly force can be justified even if the suspect is not actively firing. The court stressed that mere possession of a weapon is not enough. There must be probable cause to believe it's about to be used harmfully. So the second that gunshot went off, that's when it became harmful.
Yeah, and also their procedure of yelling gun, because in the academy they'll teach you that if one of your fellow officers yell gun, there's a threat that possibly needs to be taken out.
Right.
So that's a key word that officers listen out for from their partners if they yell gun.
And the second they yell that, that actually excuses the other officers and gives them reason
that danger is present.
The danger is present.
Right.
And they don't have to assess the danger themselves. They can react to the other assessment from another officer.
Exactly.
Let's see. The next one is Graham versus Connor, 490 U.S. 386 in 1989. It is the foundational case for all excessive force claims, holding that they must be analyzed under objective reasonableness, standard from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene without hindsight. So what we know after the fact does not matter.
No, not at all.
In that specific situation and what he could have known from previous interactions or encounters with this individual.
Yeah, it's not based on hindsight at all.
No.
No.
Key factors include the severity of the crime at issue. 2, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat to the safety of officer of others. 3, whether the suspect is actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade. The court noted the reasonableness of a particular use of force must be judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene, rather than with 20/20 vision hindsight.
Right.
And allowances must be made for split-second decisions in tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving circumstances.
And the reason why they created that law too is because, think about it, if you were a citizen, let's say you're walking down the street and then somebody else is walking down the street too. They're coming at you and they have a hoodie on and they got their hand in their hoodie and it looked like a gun is in their hoodie, but it's actually not a gun, but you end up shooting them because you think it's a gun.
Right.
And it looked like they were about to rob you. You wouldn't get in trouble because you reasonably believed that the person had a gun, even if they didn't have a gun.
It's reasonable. It looked like a gun in the print. He looked like a suspect.
Right. So that law saves you from going to prison.
Right.
Right.
2, In addition, if one officer spots a firearm and yells to alert others, that shared information can contribute to the collective perception of imminent danger, as we discussed. So it's the collective perception, not necessarily individual perception of each individual officer. When the one officer yells, as Elvin said, that is now collective perception for the entire police force there.
Yeah.
The next case is Barnes versus Felix, which was 2025. Affirming that courts must consider the totality of the circumstances without chronological limits, including events leading up to the use of force. So the fact that they must do without chronological limits means if one of those officers who was there was also present when he was assaulting these vehicles in weeks prior, which we will show you the video of, well, then that is an event leading up that contributes to what they believe is going to occur.
Definitely.
The court emphasized that while the moment of the shooting matters most, earlier context informs reasonableness and cannot be ignored. This is all Supreme Court statute. We can argue anything we want, but it's clearly what occurred was legal. He was not killed illegally.
No, not killed illegally.
So we can go into the qualified immunity as well. It shields them from liability of their actions if it does not violate clearly established law. The Supreme Court has granted this immunity many times in many cases over the years. And even if it's a mistake of the threat, the court still protects the officers. It's still a reasonable perception that the officer had.
Exactly.
I guess before we get into further, let's dive over and take a look. I referred to, the video of why they would have previous ideas of what this man was capable of, what he was doing, why he might be violent. And although you won't be finding it on the mainstream media, there are videos all over now of him assaulting police officers, doing damage to police cars, etc. So these police officers may have known who he was at that time and known that he was the type of individual who was going to assault them. So let's just take a look at this video here. Spitting on a cop, that is assault.
Oh, wow.
Agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy.
And he has the firearm in his back there still.
On the morning on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents.
And assaulting
Insane.
federal agents on the regular. The instance in which he was shot, supposedly trying to help this woman. No, he was trying to protect her from being arrested, is what he was trying to do.
Impeding. He's impeding.
He was impeding, 100%. So he's going to commit crimes with a firearm. That's actually an additional felony that he could be charged with.
Yeah.
So if he had survived, this is an additional felony that he was committing at the time of all these events.
Right.
So not only is he impeding officers, not only is he assaulting officers, not only is he destroying government property, he's committing crimes while in possession of a firearm.
Exactly.
That is another charge. This guy's unhinged.
Definitely unhinged.
He's unhinged. He's not out there protecting people or trying to help people who are being arrested or trying to. No, this man was unhinged.
Yeah,
he was
unhinged.
off his fucking rocker. I've never in my life considered spitting on a cop, breaking their vehicle. And if I were going to become that unhinged, I would not carry a firearm with me. That's asking. Asking
for trouble.
You're asking to be killed.
Yeah.
Asking for it.
Yeah, you can't do that with a firearm on you.
Now I want to go over, people are asking, one of the arguments I've had with people as we spoke about this topic is, well, why would he be arrested to begin with? Why would he be detained to begin with in the whole circumstance before he was shot? So I went through and kind of got a list of reasons where I felt or some possible crimes that would be reasonable detainment reasons leading up to him being detained and then killed. So people, he shouldn't have been detained to begin with. Okay, well, let's go over this. Reason number 1, interfering with or obstructing federal officers. He was 100% committing that crime.
Yeah.
2, obstruction of justice of governmental administration. He was 100% committing that crime. 3, brandishing or assault with a firearm. We don't know that yet. We need to see the body cam footage, but that is another possibility.
It is.
Did he show the gun? Did he lift his shirt? Did he ever touch it? Did it, so did he ever say anything about it? So these are all reasons as well that look at. 4, inciting a riot or disorderly conduct. 100% he has been known to and was still inciting riots and committing disorderly conduct. 5, failure to provide permit or ID while carrying a firearm. I'm not sure that this is the case. No videos show agents asking for his ID.
Yeah, I don't think anybody asked for his ID.
But agents are claiming that he had no ID to prove that he was legitimately carrying it. So that's going to come down to later investigation.
Yeah, that'd be coming out
later
later
time for that one to pan out.
Yeah, you do.
6, trespassing or failure to disperse. They had ruled this an unruly gathering, and they had already ordered everyone to disperse. He refused to disperse. He's 100% guilty of that crime.
Definitely.
So all of these things, these are the reasons that he was detained. He was detained lawfully, whether you want to believe it or not, and he was killed lawfully, whether you want to believe it or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it was right. Doesn't mean it was just. Doesn't mean that it should have happened that way.
Right.
That's up for debate.
Yeah.
But it was all lawful.
Yeah, it's like you said earlier, nobody wanted to see anybody die. But when you look into the legality of it and if it was lawful under the law, it definitely was a lawful killing.
And ultimately, this is where we always have to come back to. People want to do all this debate and this soft dancing around topics. We need to really invest ourselves in truth when we're having these debates, because people want to diminish the actual truth and want to go with sideshow stories. We need to be focusing on actual truth.
Yeah.
The actual truth is he was legally able to be shot and he was legally able to be detained.
Yeah.
That is the truth. We can talk about all these other things, but we must first discuss truth.
Yeah, the truth. Definitely. The truth.
So I guess leading on, this kind of brings us into, we could also talk about the Insurrection Act. Trump has,
Insurrection Act.
He's danced around possibly doing the Insurrection Act to handle the Minnesota issue. And I, myself, I know of several cases throughout history where the Insurrection Act has been used and why. But I just wanted to dive a little deeper to inform you guys who may not know when it has been used, how it has been used, and even if he can use it legally in this situation. Before we get into that, though, this will preface the whole situation. We have now found out that Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan of Minnesota was one of the admins of the signal chats that were organizing. They're calling them protests. We can call them protests or we can call them riots. But what this does show is that government officials were taking part in organizing these illegal events.
That's crazy.
So let's get into the Insurrection Act now. Insurrection Act of 1807 empowers the president to deploy U.S. military forces and federalize the National Guard units domestically in specific circumstances, such as to suppress insurrections, enforce federal laws when states cannot or will not, or address domestic violence that deprives citizens of constitutional rights. So we know that the state will not help enforce these laws. We know that to be true. And we also know that this would be addressing domestic violence that deprives citizens of their constitutional rights. We just saw this church get run in.
Yeah, we did.
Which we can now announce as well that Don Lemon has been arrested as of this morning.
Wow.
I'm not sure what the charges are, but Don Lemon has been arrested for his part in taking over that church and running these people out of their First Amendment protected time.
Wow.
So 30 times in U.S. history, we have enacted the Insurrection Act. A few of the first ones that I'm going to discuss were pre-Insurrection Act, but they were setting the foundation for it.
Okay.
So the first, the Whiskey Rebellion. President George Washington invoked early militia acts to suppress a tax revolt in Pennsylvania. The next is the Burr Conspiracy of 1806 and 1807. President Thomas Jefferson used similar authority to address an alleged plot by Aaron Burr, leading to the passage of the Insurrection Act. We can move forward to 1861, the outbreak of the Civil War. President Lincoln invoked the act to call up new troops, new recruits, and to start building the war machine for the actual Civil War. Labor disputes of the late 1800s. Andrew Jackson, Hayes, Cleveland, they all used it multiple times to intervene in strikes such as the Great Railroad strike, often siding with employers to restore order. And that was because these riots that were breaking out they weren't protests. They weren't legit protests. They were riots breaking out. So they had to quell them.
Okay.
The Reconstruction era, we'll move on to 1870s, the Ku Klux Klan suppression. President Grant invoked the act to deploy troops to the southern states like South Carolina to combat KKK violence and protect black citizens' rights under the 14th Amendment. Moving forward, school desegregation. The great and amazing best president of all time, Dwight D. Eisenhower, used it in 1957 to send troops to Little Rock, Arkansas, enforcing a court order to allow black students to attend school with white students.
Okay.
And this isn't some DEI shit. No, blacks were simply not allowed to attend the schools, whether they were as good or better than the white students.
Yeah.
So this wasn't DEI. This was an actual reason for insurrection act.
Yeah.
We had the urban riots of the 1960s. Johnson invoked in 1967 Detroit riot, deploying troops after the state's request for aid amid widespread violence. So in this case, the state actually requested it. Hurricane Hugo aftermath in 1989, President Bush used it to send troops to the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico to address the looting and violence after those storms. We know this happens because we had Hurricane Michael several years back.
Yeah, and it caused looting.
Went crazy for a few weeks.
Yeah, they did.
Until our governor sent in the National Guard. The Los Angeles riots of 92, Bush invoked it again. We all know about those that actually resulted in 60 deaths and massive destruction of LA. That is the most recent full use of the act. So our question is, how does this all tie back in, and how does Minnesota how would this be be legal, the Insurrection Act, in this circumstance?
Right, exactly.
Well, we now know that the Minnesota Lieutenant Governor, the lady we showed you, she was using signal chats to organize riots.
Wow.
So this is the state government impeding federal law.
Exactly.
Through actual state representatives.
Right.
Governor Tim Walz has been working against the federal government, and we know that to be true. We've seen it all over the television, him saying that he was going to encourage police to not help the government, to stop them. They've been handing out hot chocolate, cocoa, and blankets for people so that way they could stay warm as they're rioting and destroying his cities.
Insane.
So I guess the first thing we could do is just to inform you on the signal chats. These signal chats were being used. It's an encrypted chat. They were being used by activists to track ICE, to log their vehicles, license plates, and to coordinate rapid responses. So these aren't. No one's applying to have a peaceful protest in these instances. They're showing up to these places and impeding people. There's no application for a legal venue.
No.
So clearly that's illegal, and clearly it's being directed by a state representative.
Exactly.
So I think this is just really a cut and dry case. I think
so.
President Trump 100% has the right and legal authority to enact the Insurrection Act to move forward on this and really shut this problem down.
I believe so.
I don't know if he'll do it, because it's going to look really bad.
Yeah, it looked bad.
But it's not going to look bad to his base.
It won't look bad to his base.
It's going to look bad to the leftists.
Which I already think he looks bad anyway, so what does it matter?
So who cares? Who
He's
cares?
already a dictator in their eyes. So
Yeah, he's already a dictator in their eyes, so it really doesn't matter. I guess that's all I really have for today, but I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that this has been used many, many, many times throughout history. And this would actually be one of the best causes for use
best times
historically ever seen.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he definitely has a clear clause to use it, and I definitely think he should use it.
What do you think that looks like? What do you think it looks like when they march the National Guard and troops in there? Do you think people just immediately calm down?
I think when it comes to the leftists that are out there, I think they do probably immediately calm down. It probably would be definitely a shocker, because that's something that hasn't been done in a long time. So
right.
It definitely be something shocking to them.
Well, I guess this wasn't the Insurrection Act, but we know that Trump sent the U.S. National Guard to to many different places, and we actually went to one of those places for New Year's. And went and visited Bourbon Street, which is just the absolute cesspool.
Yeah, it is.
High crime, open air drug dealing, insane homeless. And we went there for New Year's. It was 2 weeks, I believe, after he deployed the National Guard to the area. There was no crime on Bourbon Street, no open-end drug sales, no hood rat shit going on, no ghetto banging bullshit going on anywhere. It was the safest New Year's I think I've ever had. And
wow. So obviously it works.
so it works. And that wasn't even the Insurrection Act. That was just having military presence in a what I would consider a war zone.
In a war zone, right.
The murders there have dropped. The crime is down over 50%. It works.
Wow.
So I think you're right. I think what it looks like is immediately these people fold and go back home.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely fold and go back home. Because they're not as hard as they portray themselves to be.
No.
Not at all.
So, that's where we are for the week, guys. Sorry, it's a short episode. Not a lot going on in the world, but maybe some heat will pop up this week before our next episode.
Maybe so. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next week with another one.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Have a great week.
All right. Peace.